you got started in the business and made your fortune. How do you think the opportunity today compares to then, given what you just said?
Well, Dave, this dwarfs the previous crisis involving the FDIC, the Resolution Trust Corporation, and the savings loans. I mean, that's why I say this one is going to increase the profit and opportunity as well as the capacity for more participants. Plus, this time, it's not just the raw number of banks that fail, but the amount of dollars that are involved in each scenario. I mean, during the Great Depression, it was a $5 billion problem. Now, that was a very long time ago, and in today's dollars, that'd be about $125 billion. And the crisis back in the 80s and 90s was about a $250 billion problem. That's almost, stretching your imagination. And the one today, however, is measured in trillions of dollars. Trillions. That's 1,000 billion. And a billion is 1,000 million. So, it's a number that most of us can't even get our head around. So what's happening right now is creating such an opportunity that will let every one of us, if we choose to, go make more money than we ever thought we could. And as I mentioned earlier during the last crisis, I went from being broke to making over $1 billion. So I know what I'm talking about in this category.
Bill, to listen to the passion in your voice is actually inspiring to me, and I know it's got to be to others on the call. And you say that any one of us can take advantage of this opportunity, but what does it honestly take for the average person to get involved in what you and Kathy did many years ago?
Well, you really don't need any experience, and I'm being just absolutely straight with you. You really, because remember, I didn't have any when I started. You said, yeah, but Bill, maybe you're smarter than I am. Yeah, right, I'm a high school dropout. So quit, trying to tell me that I'm smart. I am or I am not, but that isn't the question. The question is, what do you need to be able to do this? And what you don't need is you don't need any experience. You don't need a fancy education. You don't need employees. You don't even need an office. And here's the clincher, Dave. You don't even need to use your own money. What you do need is the ability to step outside your comfort zone just a little bit until you've been through this process once. So I encourage my students to take a small bite out of the apple. You also need the willingness to stick with it when the challenges rise. And in any business, there are always challenges. And spend a few hours a week of your time on this business. That's all you have to do. You just have to have, we'll call it an average IQ, whatever that is. We'll call it somewhere between 90 and 110 or whatever, which means you can find your way to the grocery store and back, because that's about all it takes. And you have to be willing to expend a little bit of energy to learn a little bit you don't yet know. Well, everybody on this call has that capacity.
You've got me thinking an awful lot. And I know that in the interviews that you've been doing, that you've mentioned more than once that the U.S. government is making it easier for everyday people to get involved. So when you talk about the fact that they really don't need to be in the position where they've got all this education and all this IQ, but all they really need to do is allow the government to engage them and involve them in buying and collecting non-performing loans, and the government is helping them to do that. So what do you mean by that? Because I've heard you say it more than once on interviews, and I wanted to get to the bottom of what does that really mean?
Well, here's exactly what it is. Remember I said that whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you have to just kind of stare reality in the face and recognize that there's 435 congressmen coming up for re-election in about a year, and most of them are Democrat. So they are very concerned about retaining their job. I'm in favor of job security. If I were them, I would be worried about my job too. Because they are worried, they have created a program, they've created a process where we, citizens, and people even from outside the United States, believe it or not, can take advantage of this opportunity where the government wants you to buy loans. See, the government's figured it out. The government really isn't stupid. They may do some stupid things on occasion, but the government isn't stupid. The government's really pretty clever. And it has figured out that if it could just get a whole bunch of people, each one of them to buy some bad loans, they would get rid of all the bad loans. And if they get rid of all the bad loans from the banks by selling them to people who then would go about hiring collection agencies to collect them for themselves, then the banking crisis would be solved. Well, I think it's pretty smart of the government to figure this out. But let me kind of walk you through it. I mean, the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, the very people who regulate our banks, and the ones every Friday, when it's National Bank Closure Day, when you see every Friday, and I guarantee you watch this Friday, there will be banks failing. There will be banks in your neighborhood, your community, your state, your area. There are banks failing every single Friday. Well, the FDIC are the people that do that. They've developed a program that caters to individual buyers as opposed to the big Wall Street investors. So I'm talking about mom and pop. I'm talking about, the average guy, not Wall Street. You see, and I put this opportunity in two different categories. And number one, we'll call it the regular opportunity. Now, the regular opportunity is really pretty phenomenal, actually, because the regular opportunity is just buying non-performing credit card loans from the loan brokers who offer them for sale. And we show people how they can buy these loans for as low as a nickel on the dollar and then settle them with a customer for 10, 15, or 20 cents on the dollar. Now, that's the regular opportunity. And it's going to last for a year or two or maybe three if we're really lucky. By the way, that regular opportunity, that's the one I made $1 billion in. But here's the super opportunity. The super opportunity is number two. You see, there's a brand new opportunity, an opportunity that didn't even exist back then when Kathy and I started our business. In fact, it didn't even exist a few months ago. And that's why this new thing is so wonderfully new. I mean, the FDIC, the entity that does all this taking over banks when they fail, has created a brand new program that they're test driving right now. And it's called the Legacy Loan Program. Now, the details would be more than we have time for in an hour-long call. But here's the short version. This Legacy Loan Program, again, a program created by the FDIC that's going to allow you, me, and anybody on this call that wants to, anybody who chooses to become involved in this business, to not only buy the loans like Kathy and I did, where you go to a bank and borrow some money and then go somewhere else and buy the loan. But here, under the Legacy Loan Program, the FDIC is creating a vehicle where they will provide some, if not most, of the funding. So this opportunity that we were excited about for the last 6 months and couldn't wait to teach our students how to do what Kathy and I did, well, all of a sudden, it just got better. Not only is the volume of loans increased, which makes it an even better opportunity, but now the financing options just got tremendously improved.
You have just got me sitting up in my seat.
This is $1 billion opportunity, and I don't say that word lightly. This is not hyperbole. This is not, some snake oil salesman trying to sell somebody a jar of vinegar or something.